Essendon have won a famous one, a big one.
He's going to rely instead on Stack. Brian Darling, Cripps with a snap of grand proportions.
Hello, I'm Damien Barrett and welcome to Access All Areas, brought to you by Virgin Australia. Matthew Lloyd, welcome.
Thanks, Damo.
And sitting in Jimmy Bartell's chair today is Callum Toomey. G'day, Cal.
G'day, Damo. Tough seat to fill, but I'll try my best.
I'm sure you're up to it. Now, a remarkable win by the Blues in Perth yesterday. No Cripps, no McKay, no Charlie Curnow after quarter time, but no problems from a 4-point perspective.
Oh, particularly that first quarter, they were blown out of the water. We see Mark Murphy here. Fantastic for Mark Murphy, because I just felt that under Brendan Bolton, he was maybe just being faded out a little bit. He was a half-forward flanker. He's gone back to his midfield role, and he was so good yesterday, Cal.
It's amazing. 6 weeks ago, if you'd said Carlton could win a game without Curnow for most of it, Cripps, Doherty's obviously on the sidelines too. You'd think you'd crazy, but David Teague's managed to release the shackles a little bit. They're playing a lot more attacking footy, and they got the result last night when it looked all dead and gone for them.
The freeing up of Carlton, similar to what's happening at North Melbourne, we'll discuss the Roos in a few moments' time, but how crucial is it to what this club is about, and how impressive now is it for the next person who comes in?
2 big wins, hasn't it? It's been Brisbane Lions. 2 top 8 sides have beaten Brisbane and the Fremantle Dockers in that, and a tight loss as well. So just love that. Even Ed Curnow, his game yesterday, 23 clearances between Murphy and Curnow. And then Simpson and Thomas kicked goals late, the veterans. And then you had like Petrevsky-Seton, who I thought played one of his better games.
Sam Walsh gets another 30 as well, so he just doesn't stop. It's a bad loss for the Dockers, though, isn't it? They lose the bottom 2 sides on the ladder. It's going to hurt them come finals time.
Serious question marks when you're doing that in a season in which it's been good otherwise, but losses to 17th and 18th. The legend of Sydney Stack, it continued yesterday at Marvel Stadium. It almost happened in one moment here with that mark over Hunter Clark there, Kel.
Yeah, it's a great move forward for them. Damien Hardwick said after the game they'd watched Charlie Cameron tear the St Kilda Footy Club apart the week before, so identified that as a weakness, pushed him forward. The Saints are really missing Jaron Geary in that role. He's been outstanding. Sydney Stat just continues to surprise.
Lordo, the goals he kicked yesterday, is this where he finds himself in this team?
Oh, it's a tough one, because he's been so good back, but the ones, it's interesting because Higgins has been out of form, Baker got dropped, and then you've got Butler, who hasn't been going well.
He's ahead of them all now.
Yeah, so he's done a better job in 1 week than I've probably done for most of the season, so he can be great at both ends.
Brought 7 players into that team. 4 of them were premiership players. They seem settled, and is this the launch or the relaunch to their year?
Well, Hardwick said after the game their season starts now. I think it's really important that next couple of weeks they get Nankervis back. Rewalt could come back next week. That's the interesting point as well, Lordy. What do they do with Mabior Chol? Because yesterday he was outstanding, was throwing a great goal late in the game, really showed up the St Kilda backline for some unaccountability. Rewalt comes in. What do they do next week with Gold Coast?
Chol at AFL level looked really comfortable. He doesn't lack any confidence, Chol. He's got a beautiful left foot kick, Damo, for such a big player. And you're right, it's a good question, obviously problem to have, where you've got Jack Rewalt coming back, you've got Chol, and you've obviously got Tom Lynch. But I love his mobility, so that's where I'd like to keep him in the side if possible, and play all 3 of them against the Gold Coast.
The Saints will hate reviewing that part of that game. That they were good for most of the game, and the last quarter got away from that moment particularly. You followed Mabior Chol really closely. He seems ready now to stay in.
Well, he's played his 3rd game. This is only his 3rd game in about 5 years at the club, so he's ready to stay, ready to do that sort of at the next level. It's just a matter of getting opportunity consistently now. He's always been a player who's shown flashes, just needs to get the consistency into his game.
Lordy, Stephen May's a heart-on-sleeve player and a heart-on-sleeve leader. This is too much to me, just watching this exchange with Sam Frost. This is just before the three-quarter time break, and he's not happy. He continues it in the break. I'm all for robust discussions, but to me, the optics on that are just crossing the line.
Yeah, I'm with you, Damo. Simon Goodwin said after the game, which you expect the coach to say, well, I'm fine with it. There was about a defensive play, but when it's that aggressive, no player will be willing to listen to that. So when someone comes at you like that, all you do is put a brick wall up, or you want to yell them back. So that's where he's got to get better, mate.
And had Sam Frost not been as composed enough to placate that situation, that could have blown up into anything. Yeah,
it's good that they sorted it out afterwards, but you're right here. You can see them, they've sorted it out, but just don't be as aggressive next time around.
He's got a few things to wade through, Stephen May, as he starts his career at Melbourne Footy Club, and that's one of them. Eric Hipwood, an extraordinary performance, was quite-ish early, then kicked a total of 5 goals for the game, 3 in a matter of 3 minutes. And And did it when his team needed to, Cal. I mean, Melbourne was really grounding out a good performance, and he just went bang late in that third quarter with that goal there. And you can see the composure just a few moments later. Took a mark in a very similar position and went back and kicked the ball directly over the man on the mark.
He's the final piece of the puzzle for the Lions for me, I think. This year he hasn't been at his best. He's kicked 25 goals from 14 games. 11 of those have come in 2 games. So inconsistent again, but they've got A-grade talent on every line. He's able to do it and be a match winner. I just think he needs to do it more and more often because they've got it up the forward line, they've got it in the back line with key position players. Harris Andrews, their midfield's unbelievable. If he gets going, look out.
Massive upside as he gets stronger. Look out.
Yep. Saturday night at Marvel Stadium, controlled aggression and endeavour from North Melbourne. Look at these early moments in a game where Jack Ziebell takes out Braden Sy. The pressure North put Collingwood under, Lordo, was extreme.
Well, I said, I think, a couple of weeks ago, Geelong said that they are the best side they've played this year. And that's what they found when they beat the Roos at Marvel Stadium.
Pendlebury doesn't do that.
No, that's the thing about them. Their pressure is just extreme. I love that game, even where they lost to the Giants only 2 weeks ago, because it was just a brutal game of football. And this is the one that Nathan Buckley said, we put up the white flag, we weren't hard enough. Moments like that, he would have hated seeing as a Collingwood coach. But obviously, lessons learnt, and I'll be ferocious on Friday night, you would have thought, against the Hawks.
Since the Brad Scott announcement was made, North Melbourne has won 4 of 5 matches. One of those matches is a Brad Scott win in his last game against the Bulldogs. Under Reece Shaw, it's now 3 from 4. There's a groundswell to have him installed soon. We just need to cool our jets on all of this. This is now a 4-week body of work for Reece Shaw. As impressive as it is, the freeing up, it's not a real situation, is it? It's a fake reality when it comes to an assistant coach becoming an interim coach and not being required to coach the way he would once he gets the job permanently. I reckon we just need to cool our jets.
What does the loss mean for Collingwood, Lloydie? Because this has been a game that some people probably saw coming. They've played good quarters here, there and everywhere, but Nathan Buckley has been savage on his side, was even more critical of what their performance was on the weekend.
Yeah, their depth through the midfield, I've been a big pump up of them, and hasn't been as strong. Dane Beams, being out, he hasn't been what they would have hoped for. And their forward line is really struggling, and Mason Cox is one of those players that I haven't liked his form since he's come back, even before he got injured. Mason Cox, we'll never forget what he did to Alex Rance in that final, but just getting run under the ball too much. So I think he needs to go with these development coaches and talk about his technique. Don't get to the contest as early, because these players are just pushing you under the ball. You've got to time your run, you've got to push back a little bit harder. Jason Dunstall is one of the great players where if the ball was going to be sat on his head, he'd push back hard. You can imagine Wayne Carey smashing back hard into his defenders. I think that's what he's got to look at the moment.
Will he benefit from Ben Reid not being there?
I've liked Reid, so I think Reid had gone past him a little bit, but now it's all on Cox to try and find some form now.
Very valuable contributor to West Coast Eagles, good form in the past 2 seasons. Jamie Cripps was there at the crunch when this game had to be won. Burgoyne takes it on, the ball comes back in quickly, and one of the more experienced and reliable players in football was there to take the ball and kick the goal.
Yeah, he's a good finisher, isn't he? He's pretty trusty around goal, and we see the vision here as we look a little bit closer. Cripps is there in front of the contest and snaps it over his shoulder to kick the goal. But if you take a better look back, you see how he crafted that opportunity, don't you? Because the Hawthorn Footy Club just weren't able to get their man-on-man system working. Tim O'Brien here is a bit of no man's land, is he? Either go forward and impact the contest, or you push back and help out the guys deep. So just nowhere there.
So that you want to be aggressive to win the game. So Burgoyne did the right thing, but you still got to have balance in terms of your players. So don't give up the winners at the same time by being so aggressive that you leave yourself one short behind the ball.
It was a slog, which personally probably wasn't ideal for Nick Naitanui returning to the game after 12 months off, but he was as crucial as anyone in that last quarter, and his combination with Luke Shuey ultimately proved the difference in that period.
Well, something we didn't see much of last year with Nick Nat down, but it was great to see him back, and it's a pretty lethal combination, is it, those two going at it on the MCG. Hopefully we see that in September this year again, but his impact around the ground, not just in possessions, because it's never been about that for Nick Nat, has it? His ability to palm the ball down and make an influence there. He'll be huge come the finals. Yeah,
Damon and I argued the fact that I wouldn't have brought him back, but I think the weekend proved it was the right decision to bring him back. But it's just how he pulls up, second up. So you don't want any soft tissues from here. So he'll have to manage his body, because he was spent by the end, but he was brave. Super.
Jeremy McGovern Rammed Matt Guelphy into the fence in a chair last week. This week, Connor Glass of Hawthorn had an opportunity to do something similar to Liam Ryan. But look at this, Cal.
Oh, we like the Irish, don't we? Very kind. It gives them a bit of a pat on the back and a bit of a laugh afterwards. So Obviously been watching the MRO and tribunal cases very closely, Connor Glass and save Liam Ryan. Maybe he shouldn't have been so kind because he kicked a pretty good goal out in the game.
Yeah, he did. He was playing dry weather footy, Liam Ryan, in a very wet game, as Marcus Bontempelli did in Adelaide for the Bulldogs against Port Adelaide. I don't know what he was doing, but he was playing a different game.
He's a superhero, isn't he? He had 11 contested possessions and 6 clearances in the first quarter. They clamped down on him after that, but he was amazing, set the tone for them. The question is about the Bulldogs, I think. Why can't they produce these type of performances and efforts more consistently? They still had 11 premiership players in that team on the weekend, a couple from Hawthorn, but they're a quality lineup when they're up and going, and they're still in the bottom 6.
I think their midfield's strong, but at either end of the ground they can let themselves down in the ruck and forward and back at times. So those conditions, they were just harder and tougher than Port Adelaide, Damo.
They're brittle, the Power, aren't they? They can win games they're not expected to win, and they can then talk themselves up on the back of it, and they can lose games like that to the Bulldogs. And it's not the first time. They'll get themselves up this week. They've got a showdown. But do you question whether...
You do, and even their coach questioned them as strongly as anyone after the game. But what they have to do now is get the balance right in their team. So they can be too young in a game as well. So do they go Westhoff, Rockcliffe, Pepper and Ryder? It's not all of them, but at least bring another couple back and send a couple of kids back to the twos, because I think that maybe you can get too young and that form can fluctuate with young teams.
Rockcliffe would have helped on the weekend when it was his
yeah.
sort of performance and his sort of night for it just to go and get the footy.
Yep. Another example of a Virgin Australia footy family are members of the Carlton cheer squad who celebrate the game with their friends, old and new.
Footy, they say, is a game of the people. Passionate tribes coming together. But zoom in. Within those tribes are our footy families, the ones we choose to share it with. So who's in your footy family?
How do you and your footy family celebrate? Go to the hub at afl.com.au/footy family and you could have the chance to win a $2,000 travel voucher with thanks to Virgin Australia. It's now time for the Access Big Ask, and this first one goes to both of you. Should we have Thursday night games every week throughout the football season?
No. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and a little bit of a gap between games. This time of the year it's okay to Thursday night, but not every week.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I reckon about 8's about right. Lloydie, this one's to you. What should Essendon do with its ruck position? Bring back Zach Clark or roll with McKernan and Hooker again?
I'd give Clark a chance because I think they need McKernan as their number one target forward.
Cal, was Fox Footy asleep at the wheel? I asked that because this mark by Oscar Allen was one of the marks of the year. No doubt about that. No replay of it and not a lot of commentary about it.
Yes, absolutely. Look at this grab. Absolutely courageous impact there from Oscar Allen, second-year player. Nick Rewalt was in the box. Surely he was the right man to call out how good a grab this was.
Extraordinary mark.
Unbelievable and at a crucial time of the game.
Lloydie, Reece Shaw, is he the man for the Kangaroos job?
It's Longmire for mine. Still. I'd back in the man who's done it over many years.
Do you lock him in if it's not Longmire?
Yes, I would.
Yep. So both. The score review on the McKernan goal. There was outrage again, that's what happens, but was it over the top? Is this actually inconclusive?
Just a little bit over the top for me. I wasn't 100% sure that he touched it, so for me, you can't overturn it.
I'm the opposite. The finger goes back for mine, and I think they got it wrong.
And Cal, during the national draft, you're able to trade draft picks, but should you also be able to trade the players you've just picked up?
Yes, but on the condition that you can only trade them once. They can't just be sitting around at home thinking they're going to get traded 8 times. So once, yes, but no more than that.
Could that happen this year as early as?
No,
not
Will
this
year.
Soon?
I think in time it's going to happen, but not this year.
Mark Blitzarves, a fascinating story. He's already won 2 best and fairest in 6 completed AFL seasons, having not played much footy as a junior. He's done this role before in the ruck, but he did it with significant aplomb against the Crows on Friday night, Lotta.
Yeah, magnificent performance by him. Changed the game, best on ground. But what I'll say is, Grundy and Nick Naitanui might be licking their lips, and teams might think to ourselves, that's their weakness. You get Stanley, beaten. He has to leave his defensive post, which makes them weaker.
Yep.
And I think he can be monstered in the ruck come finals time by 2 big ruckmen.
He could be, but I think it's a robbing Peter to pay Paul situation. I do think they have the defensive cover, though, to look after him there. Jack Henry can go back. He started forward on the weekend. They can also bring in Lockie Henderson if they had to go down that route. So, good option available there for the Cats.
Just quickly back to Thursday night, Essendon got a much-needed and very good win against the Giants. Was there enough what you saw late in that game to think that they could still figure in finals?
Oh, maybe, but they're a bit of a tease, Essendon. It's a pretty typical Essendon performance, wasn't it? When the game was all but done, they came firing out. Some injuries hurt them now as well. They've got lost Bellchambers, Ambrose is out. I don't think they're going to make the finals.
I think defensively against Hawthorn and the Giants, much better. It's up to what Fantasia, Tip and Woody, just too inconsistent. If they can get that right, I think they can possibly make the finals.
All right, Cal, you're the number 1 draft expert in the country, without a doubt. Daylight is second. Take us through your top 5 as it stands, please.
Yeah, this is the top 5, and number 1, I think, it has got to be Matty Rowell at the moment. He's the midfielder from the Oakleigh Chargers in Vic Metro. He's had an outstanding carnival as it's been going on over the last few weeks. He's Joel Selwood type, so he gets the footy and he'll play from round 1 as well next year. A little bit of Clayton Oliver about him as well. Maybe it's just the red hair, but look, he tucks in the jumper and just goes for it. A clearance specialist, so someone who you can plug in and play for sure.
You've seen him, Auto, too, in junior footy.
Coached against him for the last 3 years. He's played year 10, 11 and 12. His performance was a year 11 last year. We've never been destroyed as a team from what Rao did to us last year.
You're not the only one.
Yeah.
He's actually his teammate at Carey Grammar and also the Oakleigh Chargers is Noah Anderson, and he's a gun as well. I think he's probably the number 2 pick. It's a race of 2 for the number 1 spot. This is the sort of stuff you see from Noah Anderson regularly, running and kicking goals. He's a goal kicker. A couple of weeks ago, he kicked 2 from 27 touches for Vic Metro. He was their captain at the championships. The son of Dean Anderson, the former Hawk and Saint, but didn't play enough games at those clubs to go father-son, so he'll be in the open draft. Very good overhead. He's a Nat Fyfe type for me, I think. Going forward, he'll play a lot of footy. Great endurance and power base for him.
You've got Hayden Young at number 3, and his skills, I've just seen the vision now myself, but that left foot looks dynamic.
You can see why they want the ball in his hands, can't you? Because this was the game at the MCG earlier in the carnival, and he was a standout there with 29 touches, the Dandenong Stingrays prospect. Piercing left foot, just sets up the play from that back half and knows what he's doing. So they give him the ball and let him go with it. A really controlled play. He's the younger brother of Lockie Young at the Bulldogs, so a family link there. He reminds me a little bit of a Michael Hibberd type of player when Hibberd's at his best, that rebounding player, but good in the air too.
Caleb Sarong's the one you got at number 4 on this list?
Yeah, big fan of Caleb Sarong, co-captain of Vic Metro. Is a Jamie Elliott type of forward when he's down there, but also Ben Ainsworth when he goes in the midfield, that Gippsland power prospect.
Strong.
Robbie Gray as well, I think, as well. So that type of small, very physical player, powerful, good above his head. So a really consistent midfielder there for them, and has had a great carnival. Coming from a cricket background too, so hasn't had much of a pre-season ever. So some of the stuff he's done this year has been electric.
And rounding out your top 5 today is Lockie Ash.
Yeah, Lockie Ash. Call him Lockie Ash, but we've been calling him Lockie Dash because we'll see here some of the movement he does off half-back. Bit of a dad joke, but he's got the runner movement. He just gets the ball and lets him go for it. So what he did for Vic Country across the carnival last weekend as well, and here we'll see the run from half-back. They just give him the footy and let him go with it. He's a half-back. He'll play a lot of footy next year. He's played some senior footy at country level, so he's ready to go in that respect and doesn't waste a disposal. So he's a top 5 prospect.
So as always, it's going to be a midfielder's draft.
It is.
Outside of that, who's the best prospect when it comes to the key positions?
Yeah, one I want to talk about is Josh Worrell. He played some good footy at half-back at school level as well. Across the carnival, kicked 7 goals, 4 in a game against WA, 3 the next week. Lloyd, you've had a bit to do with him as well at Haileybury College. I just like his versatility.
An unbelievable intercept player, so it's what the modern day teams would absolutely love, and we play him at centre half back, but he's been dominating as a forward. He can go into the ruck, so versatile. He's set himself up beautifully, and clubs will be falling over themselves to get Josh Worrell.
Okay, now Lordy, in Jimmy's absence, you can reassume your mantle as the man who brings the funny to the end of the access.
Well, I'll take the harder one. No. This is easy. This is easy. The budgie smugglers. It's beautiful weather at the Gabba yesterday, and take a look at this man. He's got the Brisbane budgie smugglers up on the top deck of an apartment building watching the Lions do their stuff. So how good is life for that?
I hope he's got some sunscreen on. He might be a bit sore today.
Cal, thanks for jumping in Jimmy's chair. And Matty, thanks as always to you. And thanks for joining us on Access All Areas, brought to you by Virgin Australia. Have a good week and we'll see you next Monday. Goodbye.